Okay, so tonight our speaker is Andres Farfan. He's originally from Colombia and has worked in the restaurant business between Connecticut and New York City for over 25 years. He started as a dishwasher, moving on to busser, waiter, cook, and eventually becoming a sommelier. Andres has worked in New York City at fancy and famous restaurants like the National and the Lambs Club in Midtown. The experience he gained at the front of the house helped him develop a gift that led him to a second career, becoming a counselor. Daily interactions with clients, coworkers, and owners showed Andres how behavior and mental processes influence our perceptions of the world and how we project ourselves onto it. If you think positively, you will act positively. I love that. Today, he continues working as an addictions counselor and a bartender at night. He's continuing his education by completing his bachelor's in psychology and seeking his counselor license by completing a master's as a clinician. Andres is in long-term recovery, 5 years sober, loving his life one day at a time. And I can't wait to hear your story, Andres. So it's all yours.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the introduction. I say my name is Andres, and originally from Colombia. I want to start with two things. I want to mention Jamie Human and Fernando Mejia. Maybe those names, I think sounds familiar to you, but they are two people that have been dead at this point and incarcerated. I can say that myself and everybody who's fighting against an addictions is a miracle person, a miracle walking. There are people that I cannot right now continue fighting. This is a really deadly disease, and that's mental health and alcohol and addictions. But I always remember that people have been working and they had suffering is because I want this message just to pass the other people that we are alive. It's because it's a reason. We're still cooking. We're still moving. It's because we are a miracles. And we need to find why we're still here, but in the positive way. So I want to start. I'm originally from Colombia. Um, my father worked restaurants. My mother is a chef. She right now is turning 77 years and she's still cooking. Just still cooking as a private chef, and it's one of my staple motivation. I say, she can do this thing 77. I can go back to school. That's what I've been thinking 4 years ago. She's always like I see she can still doing this thing in this tough career than when you feel old, when you cannot get to the second floor with a couple of dishes. When I say, if somebody can, my mom can do this thing, I can do that. And I need to start with her. And actually, we got a small restaurant back in Colombia. I was like 9, 10 years old. And she always wake me up Saturdays, 3 in the morning, to go with her to the market. I hate it. I don't want to go to the market. Why me? Why me? But I remember going to the market 4 in the morning in Colombia. It was a big market they call Corabastos. Is when everybody buy everything for restaurants. It's like a huge restaurant. It's not for restaurants. It's for every big marketplace. But I remember 3, 4 in the morning, smelling the onions, the trucks coming out from Bogota. Bogota is just get you in context. Bogota is a big city, 9 million people living in Bogota. So that's I know myself sometimes a misunderstanding cities from South America. We thinking in small cities like in the movies, like there are chickens in the airports or something like that. There's still cows in the midtown. No, this huge 9 million city. And I remember those smells in the morning. And also getting a coffee 5 in the morning. We pretty much do everything by 7:30 in the morning. Everything being ready for the stuff for the restaurant, all the supplies, food, dry goods. And somebody pick it at us, and now we take everything from the restaurant. And I remember at that time I was pretty much 11, 12 years, and the sculptor when you get cold, you get coffee and they put a shot of aguardiente. And I was 12 years old. Oh, just a little for the kid, because he's getting warmer. And I feel like that's the first time I feel alcohol in restaurant is because you want to be part of the team, no matter how old you is. It was just a sip, but I feel the coffee tastes a little different. Yes, I feel warmy, it was cold. However, by 12 years, I was helping in the restaurant in the kitchen. I was behind, helping after school, keeping cleaning the kitchen. And I am be honest, I hated to be there. I hated it because other kids, they were playing. And my life as a kid in restaurant, person who parents work in restaurant, is kind of torture because when everybody's off, is when you're more busy time in your parents. When everybody is busy is when we are off. I mean, holidays, everybody was planning vacation and we were in the restaurant cooking, preparing for holiday, turkeys, lambs, hams, and it was kind of weird. Growing up, my parents emigrated when I was 15 years old just to help us because the economy here in Colombia was getting so bad. So my sister was 14, I was 15. We stayed with a cousin, and they emigrated to here to find better opportunities. That was the first time that it was tough, for a teenager to be alone at home, getting some money from the United States. It was easy. Um, I'm, I started to study in college. In that time I was 15, 16, drinking couple beer with friends, and I met cocaine, like it's not because cocaine in Colombia, when I tell people about cocaine in Colombia, it's not like it's everywhere, it's not like a dispensers, it's still expensive. And I had money from Colombia, but I still, like it the spirit, like in the moving. You little know, I never liked in the weed because weed was so relaxing. I always like to be the turmoil. I like action. So I also still working part-time restaurant teams, doing a little gigs, cooking. I was good cooking. I was since I'm 13, 14 years old. I couldn't cook like many people. They struggle to do something. For me, it was easier. It was like a breed. However, and I was 19 years old. I wasn't doing good in school, so I had to move to the States because my parents, I got a green card. I had to be before 21 years old in the States. Otherwise, I will lose my status. So, Spanish guy, no English. Where he went to work? The kitchen. So I started in the kitchen. I started to work in a restaurant. And the first thing, started as a dishwasher. And even as a dishwasher, if I say who loves work as a dishwasher, I like it because when everything I saw in the movies for restaurant, I went to a restaurant that had that kind of vision. It's called Pulp. It's called still Polpo. It's those classic Italian restaurant with the waiters. They dress nicely. They have a capitans. All the capitans were from Italy, from France. Everybody dressed so up. It was a valet parking. The place is beautiful, and it's still like when the people ask for a Caesar salad, it's cooking on the side of the table. With people ordering a branzino, we serve on the table. And I love that restaurant. And the more thing I started love it because I was 20 years old. I jumped into this watch for 6 months. I started to be a busboy. This watcher on busboy by 11 o'clock when the restaurant was not done loud because it was really busy. I had to clean glasses, all the stuff. We get a pitcher of beer. So nice, get a beer. And I'll have to pay for that. That's one of the things we sometimes said about the restaurant. I go in restaurants and I don't have to pay for a drink. That's when I was thinking. But something that I remember from those younger years, it was an absorber, a lot of information. I wanted to learn. I saw the captains and I saw that glamour of those guys with the suit, talking about wines, talking about food. I said, I want to be there. And I saw no one was Spanish. It was 2 Italians and 3 French guys in that time. We're talking about in 2002. And I said, I want to be there. That's my goal. That's my goal. I want to be there. Working hard, going to school. I went to culinary school, then moving on, and still drinking. I get my first DUI when I was 23 years old. Like anyone denial at that time. It was a mistake. 23 years old, I was in a party, I drinking too much. It was a mistake, but I didn't realize that it was the first time that I was suffering something that is lost identity, because I left a country when I never went to see my friends or anyone from there, and I start to a new life with a new culture, new English, new everything. It was a new language. So I wasn't from there because I left there, and I wasn't from here because I didn't born here. And obviously learn English took years, adapted to the culture took years, but alcohol, it was in common. It was I feel alcohol like I was after work, get a six-pack, go home, drink it, wake up next day, pay your party. You working hard, you party hard. And I thought it was life. I thought everybody doing, so it's okay. Because if you see everybody doing, it's normal. So I normalized something that wasn't normal. So I continue working like that. Then in my 20s, I get married. It's really young, 26. I get a second DUI. I say, okay, maybe the DUIs, maybe I cannot drive. So I start to work in the city. I say, I can take the train. I can study, you can that one. I was waiter by that time, way back. Maybe I can get one or two drinks. So I start to, after 6 months, the alcohol started getting on me, and it was drinking the way to the work, drinking the way back. But something that I was drinking was because coping with the turmoil of the restaurant. But that was, I think, my first addiction. The turmoil, the chaos of the restaurant, the people screaming. In the middle of something like that, you can making money. It's weird, people and artists, they need time, they need choirs, they need like a classic music to paint, to writing, to cooking, to making a drink. In more chaotically, it's better for you. You feel like you are in your zone and in your area. Like that's what I am, and this is actually something that is difficult to understand to other people. Like how we, we see something. You are many years in the business. If you see something too quiet, it's so boring. So that is something I couldn't understand until my sobriety. What was serenity? But I get that one at the end. So I keep it moving, and alcohol started to get a part of my life. Like my day job, it was drinking. I planned to drinking full day, but I want to start to getting into oh no, I need to buy. I want to try this wine. Was an obsession to try wines. I needed because I want to start to be. I wanted to be a sommelier. In that time, I'm doing the sommelier level 1, level 2. But it was an obsession with the wine. That was actually expensive. Again, because I work with rich people wealthy, they can afford it at $300, $1,000 bottle of wine. I thought I can do it. And that's not the way. I was making good money, but not that money. So start go to a restaurant and open a bottle of $200, $300, and taking money from sometimes even from the rent. And that's insanity, because I was living in a world that I created to myself. I wanted to escape because I didn't know who I want to be. I want to live somebody's life except my life. That was the point. I wanted to feel like be New York worker, be Connecticut guy, but I didn't want it to the hard part. I just wanted to be in the restaurant all the time, because in the restaurant I feel the power. I was become a really good when I was doing, even it was in the kitchen, it was in the dining room. But then not everything stay like that. Alcohol, depression, my mental health started to deteriorate to the point that I get another DUI. So now the thing is serious. I got 40 wives. I'm facing jail. And that's when I start to completely change the game because I start to isolate me myself since going to work. I was working in a small place because nobody wanted to hire me because they say, you are good, you are smart, you know a lot about wines, but you're drinking too much. Always was, but you work 4 days good, but so what happened? I started to work harder than anyone to cover my drinking. I started to cover my drinking with working extra hours, with working more. I was killing myself because I feel guilty and I couldn't accept it. I was sick. I couldn't accept it and I couldn't cope my emotions without alcohol. Any emotions, it was happy, I need to drink it. It was sad, I need to drink it more. I needed alcohol to cope with everything. And even if I have money, alcohol and cocaine, it was the cocktail. Until the moment and almost lost everything. You know, even my mom, family. I start to I get arrested too many times. They say, you had to do what you had to do. I ended in the hospital, cirrhosis, my pancreas didn't work anymore pretty much. The doctor said, you drinking one more drink, you'll be back here tomorrow. No more alcohol for me, for and start to do changing and everybody said, go to AA meetings, I don't need that. I can do by myself. Exactly 5 days after, I went back to a ER room. And I was so ashamed to see the same doctor say, be another doctor, be another doctor. It was the same doctor. Like what I told you. And on the other side, I was facing jail for 2 years for the DUIs. So it was bad. So something that I start to turn, I start to face it. I had to, I don't know if you see the movie Burn with I forget it said about the Michelin star with Bradley Cooper when he was doing the oysters. I did that one in a small restaurant. I hate it, but it was hour and a half from my home, so I tried to keep away all my drinking buddies, and I started to worry myself. I said, I need to get down. I was working in that small place, serving pizzas, and the glamorous to go to. I feel I was in the bottom. It was the worst thing for I feel so shame what I was doing. But I started to worry myself. I started to go to meetings, change. My lawyer said, maybe we went to face 2 years. So we went to court in February 2020. I was facing just ready to go for 2 years. We tried to open the courthouse door, and it was locked. I said, what do you mean? In a big sign, it's closed for the future notes. COVID camp. So COVID put some people to drinking. COVID gave me out of the drinking because it was no drinking. I started attending meetings. I did my 90-90 over COVID, doing the 90-90. Everything started. My sponsor said, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And that's when it happened. I was ready to change. I started to do to a minute. The clinic when I work in right now, it was my second time. I did 3 IOPs, 2 OPs. I was arrested over 15 times and still denied that I had a problem. But at that time, I give up. I just give up. I was tired to live like that. I was tired to working 7 days just to cover my drinking. And working out, something about the alcohol and our mental disorders is like is about these things. The nose is in the top of the mouth, and we are the last one to know we had a bad breath. Everybody knew it in me. I thought everybody, I started to go to meetings. Nice, finally. Everybody knew I was at a problem, except myself. But listen, going to meetings, doing everything. It's fine. So my lawyer showed my case. After 2 years sober, I was getting to dismiss my case with a 200 hours community service. I don't care. I was service. So the DA, they changed the DA that day. And the person, the new one, was a new girl, and she was doing their job. He said, she didn't check my last 5 years. She did a deeply record of 20 that she realized I was getting charged for 2 DWAPs. She didn't realize I got 5. He says, no way this kid's going to get to, this guy had to go to jail. Then after 2 years, I'm supposed to be in jail, I went to jail. I was bad. I didn't want it to go. But nowadays, that was the best thing that happened to my life. It want to be those 5 months in jail. Wasn't too much, because other people, they did worse things, less things than I did. I driven too many times drunk, too many times. And I never hit anyone. I always was pullovers. And I met people there with just one DUI. They killed someone. What is the difference between those people and me? No, just love. That's when I realized that God had something for me. I get there, like in the movies. I was in jail already. Okay, I'm in jail. I was with my uniform, my khaki uniform. Like in the movies, I wake up and I saw some guys call me in a table, all Latinos. Hey, what's up? Where are you from? Colombia. Okay, we are Mexican, blah, blah, blah. They give me coffee. They give me a container. You need something. Get this thing until you get your commissary. So the food, then you get in jail every week. And they cook. Believe it or not, they cook. And they cook some good stuff. And we had to cook there over hot water. You make everything over hot water. And I said, oh, that sounds cool. But the funny part, I cooked with them only for 2 weeks because my idea was to study for my CAC, for my counselor certificate. And they not like they hate me, they said, you're doing your own. And I said, I start to cook. How I want to cook by myself. I said, I went to culinary school. I work in the best restaurant. This is not going to be the first time I went to something different. So I started cooking the hot water. I'm making pizzas. I'm making quesadillas. Actually, people say, what are you making? Oh, I'm making this thing with the hot water, steam it, put the cheese. Can you make one for me? Say, I don't compromise. It was fun. I was cooking for myself. And I wasn't fun in one part. But and something that I learned from jail is it's not good or bad people. It's people they don't know how to stop the suffering because they don't have the skill, not because they don't want it. It's because they didn't have some small things that we take for granted. Some people grew up, we didn't even see a Christmas tree. Some people didn't know what is a hug for a father. But my disease didn't see me. And I had too much in life to be grateful. Then I always focus in the little dark things that I had in my life. But getting out of jail, continue working in a CCL, and still working in the restaurant, and I realized, continue working, going back to school, be so disciplined. I can say these 5 years now, I working sometimes 50, 60 hours going to school, but I can do that because I'm sober. Because I don't working, drinking is a job of 24 hours. You're thinking and drinking, you wake up and do the same thing. So it's 24-hour job. And I realized that restaurants is beautiful job. I love it, but it's a job. It's not a lifestyle. It's a job. And the idea is not be perfect in something. The idea is be good in many things. More things than you learn. Life is like the line cook. You don't need to be good just to cooking fish or making pasta. Life is good. You have to learn to do all the positions so that you make more valuable. So the same thing, I need to learn that it's just a job. Now, now I can do my best 40 hours, 30 hours, but it's a job. Many people ask me how you are a bartender. You're an alcoholic. Say, and I'm grateful alcoholic because I need to see the darkness to enjoy the light right now. When you're in a restaurant, you're a bartender, I don't see you sitting in a bar. Let's just start anyone. Sitting in a bar, when you see is the bars. So you romanticize the bars. Oh, they have Zacapa, that's the best rum. Oh, Blue Label. Oh.
Oh no, it looks like we lost Andres.
He was starting to skip a little bit. and
Yeah.
hopefully he'll come back in. Wow, that was incredible listening to him. I
Yeah,
hope
he even left us on a cliffhanger. He was starting to name
know.
liquor bottles that he was nostalgic about. I was like, let's go.
I know, it was like, how do you bartend sober? And I'm like, yes, come on. Well, hopefully he'll come back in. In the meantime, what does everybody think? If you have any questions for him when he comes back, I'm gonna stop the recording, actually. Give me one sec.
Wait, so he just like Irish goodbye it?
No, I think his internet was starting to go and it threw him off.
Yeah, I think he got booted.